Hope everybody had a good weekend. It's having a great week. Great to be here today. Getting closer to playing a game and game week, and thank God. Obviously, can't wait to play a game, but also tired of talking season, as Coach Spurrier used to call it, and tired of talking about the injury situation of two players, tired of talking about the color of the shirt that I wear up here with the backdrop behind me, tired of talking about our quarterback's class schedule. I can't wait till next week when we can actually talk about football and playing games. But on those things, shirts of the color schemes, I got nothing to do with, so I ain't getting into all that. One, I think it's absolutely ridiculous, any kind of criticism that Lenora Sellers took last week about an internship in his last semester of college. The same people out there that are criticizing that failed to report that he's been on the dean's list 4 times as a student here at Carolina, primarily taking in-person classes, failed to report that he has a chance to be an academic All-American, not academic All-Conference, academic All-American, and that he's about to graduate from South Carolina. So they failed to talk about another previous internship that he took or that he did with Contract Construction and Greg Hughes last summer, and was involved with the stadium project. So hate to see any player on our team criticize. I'm going to defend our players at all times, and that's a joke that anybody would criticize his class schedule and what he's taken in his final semester of college when he needs one class to graduate. So I hope he goes and has a hell of a time at the driving range and hits 1,000 balls and does a good job over there, because he's earned it. Second of all, with Peak and Stewart, I know that was some big headline last week because a national reporter was here, and I told him that it's probably unrealistic for them to play game 1. I don't think that's earth-shattering, like breaking news. You guys have been out at practice, and if they're not actually practicing, there's a process in order to get ready to play. Did not rule it out. They could very easily be cleared before the Kent State game, and then I have to make a decision if they're going to be able to play or we should play them. If they just got cleared tomorrow, I probably wouldn't. They have futures they're human beings first and foremost that I care about, and they have futures in football beyond Carolina. So we'll have them out there when they're ready, and they're getting closer and closer every single day to being cleared. I've been nothing but honest with you guys and anyone else in the national media since they got hurt with the information that I have available at the time. Anybody that has these conspiracy theories out there about their whereabouts or their status or anything is not accurate. They're going to play, and they're going to play very, very, very soon. And they're ahead of progress in regards to benchmarks that they have to hit to, one, be cleared. And then it's not like we just say the Friday before the Kent State game, okay, they're cleared. All right, run your butts out there and let's go play 70 plays. Like, it doesn't happen that way, guys. So they're ahead of progress. They're going to play very, very soon. They're not there yet. It's not ruled out that they're not playing against Kent State, but it's probably unrealistic at this point. But Towson, who knows? Mississippi State, we'll see. But that's where we are right now on that one. Last week with our players, let's talk some football. Last week with our players, I thought was a really good week. Really proud of our guys and how they handled the, I don't want to say distraction, but the schedule being different with classes starting here. So they got out of camp mode. But we told them, even though you're taking classes, we are still in camp mode, and really was pleased with the way they handled their business last week. Got off to a good start academically in the classroom. And then along those lines too, let's digress back to academics. Sorry, Michael. Nobody wants to report that I think the 4 highest grade point averages in the history of the football program at the University of South Carolina are in the last 4 semesters with what our guys are doing well academically. So it's not just Lenoris that bothers me that got criticized. When you criticize one guy, you're criticizing all of our players and what they're doing from an academic standpoint. And our guys are doing a great job. Justin Light, who heads up our academics for our football players, is doing a great job. And our guys are killing it academically and are true student athletes. Back to football. Impressed with the way that our players handled last week. Got a lot of situational work in. We went in the stadium on Saturday, 12:45 kickoff, just like the Kent State game is going to be. So we simulated everything that a game day is going to be like at Carolina, pregame warm-ups, because we got a lot of coaches and players that are going through that for the first time. So I wanted to make sure we were all on the same page with how we do things in pregame warm-ups, how we do things when we come off the field after pregame warm-ups, how we do things during the game, how we do things at halftime, everything. We've got a new trainer, new coaches, a lot of new. But went out, had a 100-plus play scrimmage, got a lot of really good work in, did quite a bit of live. We actually tackled around here, did some live tackling last week. Thought we got better, and know we got better. Stayed injury-free, which was really, really key, and thought it was a really, really good week. We've obviously added to the roster. Shout out SEC Shorts. I saw the new SEC Shorts spoof last week that says the media guide's got to be updated. Kudos to SEC Shorts. I was watching. But yes, the media guide is updated because we have a new player with Ethan Johnson being added to the roster. And again, for me, it's always about doing what's best for the football team. I'm not a big fan of adding players this late, and initially was not planning on doing anything, but saw an opportunity, as you guys have heard from me, if you've asked me, which I know you've had, like positions that I'm concerned about. I've always said to you guys, I want more depth at every position, but I've also said that I'm a little bit concerned about the depth at corner just because we're down some guys. I mean, Brandon Cisse left early for the NFL draft, and we were, numbers weren't quite where we wanted them to be, and we had some freshmen that are going to be good players, but didn't love the depth at the corner position, and I saw this as an opportunity to add depth to the corner position with one really, really good player. And then from talking to people that know him, and he knows some of our players on the team, a fantastic person. But then everything was ready to roll. He was ready to sign and come, but I said, no, I'm not doing anything until I talk to a lot of the players about this and talk to our older defensive backs. They were 100% in favor of it. Not one person said, no, don't do this. Then I talked to a lot of the older guys on our team on offense and defense to make sure they were okay with this and explain my thinking and adding a player this late that hasn't been with us since January. And every single one of them were on board. Do it. This makes us better. Let's roll. So that was our stamp thinking on that one. I would never add a player to the team and then cut a player that's been with us since January to add a player. We had space available, had a scholarship available, and that's what we did. So Ethan got here Saturday morning. He got here and was out at practice today, and excited to welcome him to our program. Now, as we get into this week, other sports, big week for volleyball, kicking off the season with 2 home matches Friday and Saturday. So best of luck to those ladies as they get rolling. Congrats to women's soccer going 2-0 last week, including getting our first points in the rivalry with our rival in the upstate. And then men's soccer gets their opportunity on Friday night. So I would encourage everybody in Gamecock Nation, get out to the Stone Stadium. All right, get out to Stone Stadium on Friday night for men's soccer against Clemson. So best of luck to Tony. Saw Tony's wife and son at Cold Stone late on Friday night the other night, and did not see Tony, but saw the family getting our late night ice cream. So he's a great friend, and wish him luck as he gets into the season. And then with our players, as y'all know, we're in our mock game week this week, which probably is more critical than any year that we've done it, just because we've got so many new coaches and players. So, really spending a lot of time with Matthew and Kendall and Clayton to make sure that the way that we have practices structured and organized is best for what they need to get done to be at their best on Saturdays. So Kendall's brought some ideas. Matthew's brought some ideas. We've tweaked some things and changed some things to hopefully make our practices even more efficient. No big changes, but just how we set up some periods. And I thought today was a really, really good start. So tomorrow will be a normal Wednesday. Thursday will be a normal Thursday. Friday will be a normal Friday. In the morning, and then Friday late afternoon, early evening, we'll have our situational scrimmage practice. It's not a scrimmage, but we go in the stadium and literally go through every situation known to man that can come up in a football game and rep that. That's always a fun evening. And then once we're done with that on Friday, everybody will have Friday night off and all day Saturday, including the coaches. Be first and last day off for a while. And want everybody to be able to enjoy their Saturday. And then we're back in here into true game week next Sunday afternoon when everybody's back in the building. And September 5th is approaching rapidly. Can't wait to see Gamecock Nation back in Williams-Brice in a week and a half. Was over there, like we said, in the stadium on Saturday for the scrimmage, and just being able to walk around on the east side, the west side, north side, south side, all that is awesome. Just to be able to see everything that Contract Construction and Greg Hughes have done over there with the stadium project. It's amazing. I can't wait for our fans to see the concourses. I've been hearing about the women's restrooms and how amazing they are. There were no women in there, but I walked in one of the women's restrooms the other day. They're amazing ladies. I've heard the horror stories about how terrible it is. So it looks great. Student section, awesome. The area that you guys have that will continue to get better going forward too. And then we need a sold out rockin' Williams-Brice Stadium next Saturday. The dead period ends from a recruiting standpoint. So from a recruiting standpoint, we haven't had a recruit on campus since the third week of June before it became a dead period. So next Saturday is the first opportunity for the recruits to get back on campus, and we've got a lot that are coming that are committed to us that'll be here because it's their first opportunity back in Columbia since June. So big part of why they chose Carolina is the atmosphere in Williams-Brice Stadium and our fan base, and need to make sure they haven't forgotten why one of the many reasons they chose South Carolina was our fan base in Williams-Brice. So can't wait for that. A lot of work to do, but like where we are right now, we've covered a lot there. David, I don't know if you got anything right now after that opening statement, but we'll give you something, man.
Shane, a couple for you. With Ethan Johnson, I believe he's got a court date August 31st, that whole Louisiana group. How confident are you guys that he'll get through that and still be eligible?
Very confident, and that was my question, David, was, okay, if we're going to do this, do we feel good about everything happening the way it needs to happen? And the answer that came back to me was yes, so ultimately not my decision, but, we feel confident, I'll say that.
And second, in that same group was DQ Smith. Was there ever any conversation or thought about maybe bringing him back?
Yeah, I think you're always looking at every scenario of how to make your team better and care about DQ, and he's done a lot of great things for South Carolina football. Valuable member of our program for a long time, and will always be a part of the family here. But in this instance, not real in depth. No, it was for us. We really like the group that we have right now. Here's a little depth chart preview, a solid four of, Busey, Currents, Peyton, and Kendall Daniels right now. Like where those guys are, and felt like the best thing for us was just continue to pour into those guys and keep getting them better.
Apologize for that Lenore headache last week.
You didn't do it. You stated facts. You didn't criticize. To my knowledge, you didn't criticize. Okay. I said the people on the outside, not you guys. Yeah. You know I love y'all.
Yeah.
All right.
Are there any other potential additions to the roster for this season, or do you feel like you guys are finished?
I feel like we're probably finished at this point. I mean, we're getting closer and closer to game day, and you always look at every position, Hale, and see if there's a way to make it better. There's no one that I've talked to. There's nothing imminent at this point. I told the players last week, we'll always do what's best for the team, but I don't envision a scenario as we sit here on Tuesday. But at the same time, who knows what's going to happen when I walk out of here. I feel like things are changing every 30 seconds in regards to lawsuits, statements, NCAA rules, whatever it may be.
And walking in, I saw Brady Hunt. Is he dealing with something with his leg right now?
Yeah, he's got a little we're making fun of him. He's got a bruise, but he's got a big brace on right now. So, I'm just messing with you. He got a little banged up in the scrimmage, nothing long term. He's just got that on right now from I don't necessarily say precaution, but just to be able to help it heal as quick as possible, to be back out there as quick as possible. So he, didn't practice today, but with Brady, don't anticipate it being anything long term.
Hey, Shane, what kind of role do you envision Ethan having when the season begins? Because he's a guy that's made almost 40 starts in his career. He's coming in a little bit late with a little under 2 weeks to go. But you've also got guys in that DB room, aside from Vicari and Judge, that are competing to try and earn serious reps at that position.
Yeah, we wouldn't have brought him in if we didn't feel like he had a chance to make an immediate impact, Jack, and we do. Now, it's not easy. Don't get me wrong. He hasn't played since November, December, whenever their last game was. So that was my question. It was, okay, what's he been doing since then? Like, we don't need some guy that's been, sitting at the house since January. He's got to get in shape and all that. He's been staying active and staying busy. That really helped because he has played so much football that Clayton and Torian got him, like I said, he was here on Saturday, and on Saturday afternoon after the scrimmage, Clayton and Torian were able to sit down with him and, okay, what did you guys call this in your system? Okay, we call it this. What did y'all call man free? We call it this here. What do y'all call 3-week buzz? Okay, here we call it this. And just trying to get the terminology part of it figured out. But, early signs are positive, and the thing with Ethan is he brings experience because we've got two corners in Judge and Vicari that are competing at a high level, right now, and playing at a high level, I should say. And then we've got some guys behind them that are good players but are unproven, young, whatever you want to call it. So to be able to add just an older guy in there that can help on defense, help on special teams. He may play 0 plays against Kent State. He may play 50 plays against Kent State. I don't really know. We've got to acclimate him quickly and see where he is. But the fact that he's an older guy and he's played a lot of football is an advantage for him because he understands football.
Looking at defense the last couple of years, there's been players who have transferred in and, 1 year with Clayton and then gone on and had some success in the NFL. What is it? It's year 6 with him. You know him well at this point. What is it about him as a coach and a person where he's able to kind of help players make a really big leap in kind of a short amount of time?
Yeah, and that's one thing that we talked to Ethan about, Lulu, was just that fact that, hey, you're from Charlotte. The last dude we brought down here, he wasn't from Charlotte, but D. Knight was living in Charlotte, doing as a DoorDash guy, and he came here, spent 1 year, and now he's a starter for the Bengals. Or, Carlins Platel 1 year and then gets drafted by, I think, the Steelers, or free agent with the Steelers when Carlins came out back after the 21 season. I think it's a lot of things. One, Clayton's fantastic, great coach, knowledgeable, pours into those guys, puts them in positions to be successful. There's no question about it. And then you take all those coaches on that defensive side of the ball, and that's a really good group. And then I would like to say that just the overall culture in this program of pouring into people and seeing players for not necessarily who they are right now at this moment, but who they can be. And we talk about that a lot as a staff is, every player that we're coaching right now, have a high ceiling for them and high aspirations and see them for what they can be as a player and not necessarily what they are right now. And when you take that philosophy, that culture of pouring into young men, and then combine it with the coaching staff that we have, combine it with the strength and conditioning staff, the player development staff, the nutrition, training room, all that, to me, you get the best version of players. And I think we're well on our way to doing that again. You look at some of these portal guys that we've brought in. I think I mentioned it last week, but very rarely do you see older guys that improve like they've improved from a strength and conditioning standpoint, body weight, whatever it might be, this late in their career. And we've had that already, whether it be, Tomey on defense or Hank Purvis on offense or, on and on and on. I think you'd ask a lot of our portal guys a year in our program, or less than a year really, has already made them a better version of themselves, and eager to see that continue on the field starting next Saturday.
Coach, bulletin board material. Obviously, every coach program has their different philosophies on how much they feed their players, how much they limit it with their players. What's your philosophy kind of with all the social media buzz that's going on around your program?
What would be the social media buzz, positive or negative?
Either.
I think everything, honestly, I feel like every team is different, and you kind of got to figure out what what resonates with some players and teams and what doesn't. I think we've had some teams where I could say Jack Veltri from Gamecock Central said we were going to get beat. Look at these picks, 49-0 this week, and you'd have people coming out of the locker room ready to like tear somebody's head off. And then you might have other teams that be like, so, and I use Jack as an example, could be anybody. But my point being, I think every team is different. Like some teams are like, all right, who cares? Some teams are like, man, and I think you just have to really understand the personality of the team that you have that year. We don't spend a whole lot of time talking about it. I mean, to me, it's kind of hypocritical if I tell the players we don't worry about the outside noise. We don't listen to the outside noise. It's always about us. But then I go, but look what they said about us. We're not going to listen to it. But so I think for us, it's really a standard that we want to compete with and perform with every single Saturday. That's what we're focused on, regardless of the opponent or what people are saying about us, good or bad. But also, I'm not dumb. I mean, players see when they leave the building here and they're on their phones all day, they see what people are saying about them on the outside in a lot of ways. So I think for me, it's more just making sure they're 18, 19, 20-year-old young men and making sure they understand that, that really doesn't matter what you're seeing on Instagram or TikTok or whatever people are saying about us. What matters is what we can control, and let's focus on that.
Last week you talked about the first scrimmage, there being a discrepancy in procedural penalties this year as opposed to the first scrimmage last year. How did it look on Saturday, and how much of an emphasis has that been, especially with an offensive line unit that does just have a lot of new faces?
Yeah, I thought it was really, really good. Again, Elijah, we had a few more penalties this past Saturday, but not really. I mean, they flagged us for having two of the same number on a kickoff return. I'm like, guys, I got it on Saturday. Like right now, yes, we've got a couple different guys wearing the same jersey numbers. We haven't put people in different jerseys. We had SEC officials here on Saturday, and I told them flag everything. Well, by God, they flagged everything on Saturday. So that was a penalty. Stuff that you coach, but you got to emphasize it. We had a kickoff where, a guy on kickoff return was signaling to the other guy that I got it. Well, you can't put your hand up because that's a fair catch. Things that you teach and emphasize, but it's good that it happens. It was good that we had the SEC officials here. We had some things with some, alignment issues in regards to receivers, offensive line, tight end, who's on the ball, who's off the ball to make it a legal formation that they flagged a couple times, and I just stopped the scrimmage and, brought the offense out so they could basically teach what they're calling and what they're looking for. So if you take it out, we really didn't have a lot after all that. I think the whole second half of the scrimmage, I think we had 2 penalties. Procedural-wise, I thought it was good. We had the play clock rolling where we were going to emphasize delay of games. We didn't have any of those. Really didn't have a ton of penalties on the play. So knock on wood, we'll go out and have 27 penalties against Kent State. But so far, I think we've been really good, particularly with the pre-snap stuff.
We've seen it all this week, the last couple weeks. But how comfortable are you adding NFL guys to your roster?
Yeah, I think that's a tough situation when you've got a guy that's been on an NFL team and then comes back and is playing college football after he's been playing professionally. I don't think that's a road that anyone wants to go down. We're taking the guidance of the SEC, the presidents, the athletic directors, certainly taking their guidance, and I see what's going on out there. I also realize, Jordan, at this point it's a one-time situation about guys that have a 5th year in college that didn't use it. So I don't envision this being a thing next year. We're signing people off the Jaguars in August. This is a one-time thing, but in this one, it's always, doing what's best for the football program as we follow the guidance of the leadership that we have in this league and at this university.
Now that those 2 scrimmages are in the book, what's the biggest thing from a position group standpoint or just the team as a whole that you want to see clean up in these last 10, 11 days before kickoff?
Clean up, you never feel good. There's still so much more to cover as you go into to a game one. I really like where we are right now, offensively, defensively, special teams, the progress we made, the way things have come together. I think for me, it's more just there's still position battles and rotation battles that are going on. That's really, for me, the big emphasis this week and next week is seeing some of those things solidify themselves as we go into game one. I think we came out of the scrimmage last Saturday saying, okay, we could say that these are probably our top 4 wide receivers, top 3 receivers. Well, who is 4, 5, and 6? And that's a battle with a group of guys right now. Third corner is still, let's see what happens here as we go into this week and some other battles along the way. But that's the big emphasis for me, is just seeing those guys continue to, take steps, offense, defense, and special teams.
John, in the back right.
Yeah, you've mentioned several times that Peak and Stewart are on track. If there's a track, it would seem like y'all have some benchmarks in mind. Can you provide a little bit of clarity on what that track may look like? Is there a hope date for them to put on pads and begin contact or something along those lines?
Yeah, I think for those guys, it's being able to really, it's contact would be a benchmark, where it's contact with whether it be a blocking sled or another person in practice. There's that contact that has to happen. And then there's that would be a benchmark, certainly, that in my mind is kind of the next step in regards to benchmark. Dylan has been able to, they've been more involved in what we're doing on the practice field over the last week than what they were the first week. There's no question about it. Does that mean they're going full speed? No. But they're a little bit more involved with stuff, whether it be in practice or a jog through pace. And so really a benchmark that would be kind of the next one for those guys, John, would be hitting something or someone physically and then being able to get out there and do it in practice. But again, those would be kind of the next 2 benchmarks in regards to playing. And we're getting very, very close to that, because what I'm not going to do is, Dylan gets cleared on a Wednesday or a Thursday, and then he goes out there one day in practice in an 11-on-11 setting, and then we just turn him loose on Saturday. I'm not going to do that to him. That's not what's best for him or our football team. So, we're hitting those benchmarks, and we're certainly on track. There's never been a point in this rehab process with either one of those guys where I feel like we've taken a step back this week or now we're behind schedule. Not one time. And which excites me as we go into the month of September about how quickly they are going to be back out there. Did you have another one? I'm sorry, John? No, okay.
Last question, Phil, back right.
Thank you. I'm assuming the comment about loving the media here is a blanket statement for everybody.
Absolutely. My love starts in the back. That's at the highest level, Phil, and it just works its way down here and finishes with Jordan in the front.
Just clarifying.
Yeah. Blanket statement.
Offensive line, though, how close are you to having a solidified starting 5?
I think very close. I think some things certainly were clearer after Saturday. And I think for us, Phil, it's going to be – I don't want to say that we're going to be just rotating left and right, but I'd say it's more likely than not that you're going to see more than 5 offensive linemen play against Kent State, more than 5 playing against – whoever, Tennessee, when we play them in October. I think for us, it's trying to figure out who those top 8 guys are, if you will, maybe 9, and be able to rotate those guys in there and keep them fresh. I think that's kind of the road we're heading down right now. And I feel like we're very close to that point, if not, already there. But as we told our players today, because we started some, scout team work in practice, which we don't do a lot of that in practice anyway. But we started a little bit of that, and we talked about it this morning in our team meeting, that this is your role like right now today, but it doesn't mean it's going to be your role in 1 week or 1 month or 3 months or whatever. You'll determine that as we continue to get better and develop the entire roster. So it's kind of where we are right now. I feel pretty good about who that top rotation of offensive linemen are, if you will. And then we've also got some young guys and some other guys at all positions that maybe aren't in that top rotation right now that are coming on. I mean, I showed them a tape today of, the first day in 2022 where we did scout team work, and there's, Peyton Williams, Brian Thomas, and Keenan Nelson on the scout team. And Keenan started the Gator Bowl that year for you guys that were here. And Peyton Williams made a huge pass breakup against Tennessee on a third down play right around midfield that year. And they started in a situation where their role wasn't what they wanted it to be, but they just continued to work. And by the time they got to the end of the season, they were playing a lot of football for us on Saturdays. And that's kind of where we are right now. But here's where we are right now, whether it be offensive line rotation or any position. But we've all got to continue to develop, and the competition and the roles are constantly ongoing and changing. All right. Thank y'all.